Hello everyone, it's Vicky here and welcome back to another 1 kit 10 cards video. So I'm playing with a January card kit by SimonSaysStamp, and as always let's take a look at what's included. So you will get lots of foam squares. There is also a VersaFine Clear pigment ink. This is in black and it stamps beautifully. You will also get the Distress Collage Medium, which is a great glue if you want to do lots of collage, sticking papers one on top of the other. You do get 3 of the watercolor pens and in 3 colors. If you don't have any of them in your stash, it's a great way to play and see if you like them. Then you will find a 3D embossing folder full of hearts, perfect for the upcoming Valentine's Day. But of course hearts can be used throughout the year for so many different occasions. Now this is a stamp set included. I absolutely love it. I can find so many different stamps that I can work with again and again, especially for my mixed media background, but I love also the flowers, the butterflies, and it has that vintage vibe to it. You'll also get an ephemera pack. Now this is packed with elements that you can layer to create those clusters, which is what I am going for today. And you will find that you get lots of greens, lots of yellows, lots of blues. You can see reds and purples, so you can easily combine all those elements for a really pleasing cluster. This is what I will be working with today for all my cards, just to show you different ideas on how you can play with those. And you will find that even after creating all the 10 cards, you will have tons of those to still play with. Then in your kit you will find 10 card bases. These are pre-scored for you in a red color. There is also a SimonSaysStamp pink envelope. And also you will find a pink cardstock as well as white watercolor cardstock. And let's start with the first card for today. For all my cards I will be focusing on the ephemera. I just want to show you different ways that you can layer those. Now there are many different ways that you can go with this ephemera. If you want, you can give a vintage look to it, which is what I'm going to show you on this card, on the first one, but I will show you other ways that you can keep everything kind of clean and simple in the next cards. So I'm starting by picking a few of the ephemera and I'm just inking up the edges. I'm using Vintage Photo for that. The trick to get that vintage look and feel is to ink up all the edges of all your elements, both the cutouts as well as the card base. This is going to give the same detail on everything. It kind of brings all the elements together. Another fun detail that you can do is to use the edge of your scissors, or if you have a dedicated tool for that, and distress the edges, kind of fray them. This helps the layering a lot, as when you place one ephemera on top of another, they kind of pop even more since they do have that dimension on the edge. Now for the background I will also do some stamping. For that I'm going to use stamps and mix and match them from the stamp set included in the kit, and I will also use the same Vintage Photo ink. Some of those is not going to show since I do have a big ephemera to stick on top, so I'm mainly staying on the edges, on the border of my cardstock. I started stamping with the notes, and you see I don't even bother to use a stamping block. I don't care to get the perfect impression. This is just for visual texture there. And I will also choose another circle stamp. These are my favorites. I can use them on every project really. And just stamp again. You see I'm just stamping where the previous stamping was, so just kind of creating a cluster there. Now remember, all the tips and tricks that I have shown you in this first card to get that vintage look can be used on all the rest of the cards. However, you will see that on the rest of the cards I will keep a clean and simple look, but again, make sure that if you want the vintage look, ink up the edges, fray them with scissors on all the ephemeras, do some stamping on the background, a little bit of ink blending, does magic. Now, of course, on all these cards, for your sentiments, you can use sentiments from the stamp set included or any other sentiment that you have in your stash. I decided for all these cards to make it really simple, so I'm using sticker sentiments from these sticker booklets that I have for years and years by Team Holtz. So I'm mainly using the Small Talk Occasions one. If it is still available, I'm going to link it down below. Keep in mind, however, that this is, I believe, more than 10 years old, I don't know. Completely optional, you can do some splattering if you like. I'm using white watercolor paint here, and you can see here some close-up photos on the first card for today. Now moving on to the second card, and this one is going to be quite clean and simple, really easy to put together, but I think that the final result looks fantastic. Now I have picked again only 3 of the ephemera, and you can see I do have some foam squares at the back. You can use the foam squares included, I'm just saving them. And here I'm using foam tape that I had in my stash already. Now I did prep everything, and there is foam tape at the back of this as well. This is such a stunning focal point. And I'm just going to add one extra ephemera up there just because it gives that vibrant red on top. I added a sentiment sticker that says I love you, and then this is pretty much done. You can stop here, you can add the splatters if you like. I'm going with my iridescent contour liner, and I'm going to add some dots just here and there. But if you want this card to look more vintage, you can definitely repeat the inking on all the ephemera, the inking of the background and the stamping, just what I shared on the first card. So here are the 3 ephemera that I picked for the third card. And I will be working on white card base here. I'm going for a bluish theme. I am going to use the butterfly as my focal point, and I'm starting by sticking everything down and using my glue. Now for some of the elements you can go either with glue so that you can stick them down completely flat. For other ephemera pieces you can use foam squares at the back so that you can add dimension. Just play with that while you create your clusters. This is going to give it more interest, and you will find that the elements will pop better one on top of the other. Again, for this card design you can make it look more vintage if you follow the steps of the first card, and just because it looks so clean and simple, if you want to add something extra neat, just use gems. Now I do have these gems from another card kit. I can't even remember when we got that, but if you are a subscriber of the SimonSaysStamp card kits, I'm sure you already have this one. So here are some close-up photos of my blue card for today. And for the next one, I'm going to play with yellow. So you can see here all the ephemera that I picked, and I'm going to add a little bit of inking on the background. This is something that you can do on the previous cards as well, the blue one for example, if you want to have something going on the background. I'm not going again for the vintage look and feel here, but I just want to make sure that there is something like a yellow tint on the background. I'm not going to work too much on that. Most of it is going to be covered up by the ephemera later on, but I did do a little bit of stamping with vintage photo as well as some splattering. Now, if you are enjoying my 1 kit 10 cards videos, always make sure to like and leave me a comment down below. It really helps. I also get some comments that I talk a little bit fast. I am trying to slow down, but sometimes I just can't help it. This is the way I talk. Anyway, just keep in mind that my YouTube channel now gives the option to listen to me in different languages. So all you have to do is to tap on that little gear and it's going to give you different options. So here you see I combine foam squares with glue so that everything is nicely leveled. And I'm not going crazy with ephemera and layering, I just use 3 or 4 each time. I always like to start with the bigger ones at the back and just go gradually to smaller ones. And here is a little tip: if you want to bring everything together, you can use a stamp, making sure that the stamp goes over different layers, like what I'm doing here with the circle one. So you do have the same detail on top of one of the ephemera on the background, like so. Finish off your card by adding a sentiment as well as some gems here and there. And I absolutely love the bird card for today. Now, beautiful cards don't have to be complicated. Just by layering some ephemera pieces can make a stunning card in no time. So for my 10 card videos, I usually tend to go quite simplistic. But if I make just one card on one video, then I do use lots of techniques on this one. So here you can see I'm just layering 4 ephemera, one on top of the other, and I think the card looks stunning. Again, just add some stamping or inking if you like, add some gems like I did to finish it off and a sentiment, and you are good to go. And if you follow my videos, you already know that I like the mixed media vibe. I also love creating clusters and layering. So this card kit this month is completely my vibe. I love to play with paper, and sometimes I prefer playing with paper than stamping, which is what I do with all the 10 cards today. So here again I'm going for a brown and yellow card. So again I'm just mixing the ephemera pieces. I'm just going to create a backdrop here with these alphabet ones and just stick everything on top. Also remember this little tip: you don't have to always align everything vertically and horizontally on your cards. Sometimes giving it a little bit of a tilt gives more movement and interest on a card. So again on this one, to finish it off, I added some yellow gems at the center of the flowers as well as added my sentiment. And here are some close-up photos on this one as well. Again, this would look stunning if you did some ink blending and turned it into a more vintage look and feel. Moving on to the next one, and I'm playing with a red one here. Again, for some of the ephemera I'm going with glue, so flat. For others I'm using foam squares at the back. If you notice, all of my ephemera do have a red detail, so I know that everything is going to match nicely. And this tag does have a little hole at the top, which gives me an opportunity to add a different texture on the card. So you can thread some twine or use some floss, you can tie a bow, lots of things that you can add details on top of that. And of course keep in mind that before start filming each card, I did play a little bit with the placement. I know that these ephemera are going to play well together, so although it looks really effortless, maybe I have spent 5 or 10 minutes even trying to find what is going to look pleasing to the eye once I layer everything. However, I do get a guide on which ephemera to use by the color. So I always pick the ones that do have the same color on top of them, knowing that they are going to match nicely. So here are the close-up photos on my cup card. Absolutely love one, probably one of my favorites from these 10 cards. And don't forget, let me know in the comments which one of those was your favorite. Moving on to the next one. And I'm going to use the 3D embossing folder with the hearts. I'm using the watercolor paper that was included in the kit. I did lightly spray it. I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine and hopefully you can see all the dimension that I got. And I'm going for a purple card. You can see all the ephemera that I picked do have the purple color. I'm just trying to layer them and decide how everything is going to look nice. Once I'm happy, I'm going to stick it down. Again on this one I did have a tag with a hole, so you see I did thread some white thread through it. I'm adding some gems, some purple gems that I have, and of course for this card you can jazz it up a little bit, make it look more interesting if you want by ink blending some purple on the background, adding some splatters. I just wanted to go for the clean and simple look and I think it looks fantastic. And honestly, I think these cards can get any easier. You see here I'm playing with the green ones. Again, I'm working on a white card base. I'm going to try and layer them, decide what looks pleasing to the eye, just kind of try to balance things. And again, I have one of those tag ephemera pieces that give me an opportunity to thread something through that hole up there. And I find that many of the cards that I made today just by layering the ephemera can be used as masculine cards as well. You can switch the sentiments and they can match any occasion really. And in here are some close-up photos on my green one where you can see I added a few gems as well. And now let's move on to the 10th and last card for today. Definitely one of my top favorites. It's so adorable and romantic, this one. Yet super easy to put together. So I absolutely love how that cluster of flowers looks behind that house. That's what I'm going to use as my focal point. So I'm just going to use some foam squares at the back of the house and just stick it on top of the other ephemera piece, making sure that on the side of the house you can see that beautiful cluster coming through. And it is dimensional since I do have the foam squares at the back. Now I'm going to layer that on top of the other piece, the pink ephemera piece that I have picked up. I'm going to place the whole cluster on top of a white card base, and I did use some hard dies that I had in my stash to cut out hearts out of pink cardstock. I'm going to glue them down as if they are coming out of the chimney. And I'm starting from the bigger hearts going all the way up to the smaller ones. And I find that the tweezers is a really helpful tool here since all those pieces are super tiny. Now I'm also going to add some pink gems also to embellish the card, and here are some close-up photos. And that was the 10th card for today. I hope that you had fun, that you got inspired. Down below in the description you will find links to everything I used. Here are some close-up photos on the rest of the cards so you can see them all together. Thank you all so much for joining me today, and I'll see you all next time.